What is up? So welcome back to another video. So it's 1:30 in the UK. It is a Tuesday afternoon. Just finished up with the majority of stuff I've got planned for today. There's a few things that I'm going to get through, but I'm going to head to Starbucks, I think, or Costa, and just work in there for a while. It's been a while since I worked in a coffee shop, actually just sat in there for a few hours, so that's what I'm going to do today. And when I come back, I'm going to answer a few questions, bring you along with me, and just vlog the entire day, so it should be good. I was talking in last time's video, if you remember it, about improving my C game, and I was talking about this book. So I talked about The Mental Game of Poker and With Winning in Mind, and it's such a great book. I've got to say, my first time reading it, I blasted through it in about a week and a half. It was a really good book. Studied it, took things away. I've just been note taking on it as well, and it's a very good book. I recommend every single trader to check that out. If you haven't already, definitely pick up a copy, definitely read it, let me know what you think. Essentially, it's going to teach you how to win, the mentality that comes with it winning. It's just so applicable to trading, so highly recommend that. But let's go to Starbucks.
Sometimes I'm selfish, get jealous, I feel a little helpless. My whole world has shifted again. You made a promise, I kept it. Now I'm second guessing. My whole world has shifted again.
Right, so just got back from Starbucks, pretty good session. Everyone always says, do you not get distracted in Starbucks, like when you're working and stuff? And I'm like, no, because I've got headphones in. It's just like a really chill environment to work in, so always liked it. But I'm going to answer a few questions. I did a Q&A on Instagram a few days back. Haven't really been active on IG, but I came back on, did a Q&A, but I just got so many questions, so I couldn't answer them all, so I wanted to answer a few more here. Right, so the first question is actually a really good question. So, your personal best psychological tip once you've got the technicals nailed. So this couldn't have come at a better time because I'm actually actively working on this right now. So I want to approach this in two different aspects. So first and foremost, your own performance. When you've got a strategy nailed or when you've got your technicals nailed, you're not actively looking to add stuff in or take stuff away or learn new stuff, or you're not in that mindset where it's like, oh, I've just learned this today, let me try it, let me backtest it. You've gone past that stage essentially. I like to look in trading in terms of phases. You're going to learn, you're going to stall and experiment and repeat what you've learned, and then you're going to learn again. It's just a repeating pattern. So once you've got the technicals nailed, you're not in that stage where you're actively looking to add more stuff in, right? So once you've done that, I think it's just all about, number one, refining your psychology, and then number two, your own performance. Actively digging into ASR, journaling. How can I double down on that? How can I triple down on that? Tracking every single little detail. And it doesn't have to be, so specific that you're tracking every single thing, but specific enough to just recognize patterns in your performance. Track things so you know where to go wrong, because if you're not tracking anything, you're never going to improve, or you're going to improve at a very slow rate. So personally for me, I would track screenshots of trades you've taken to keep yourself accountable. And then you've got, reasons why you actually got in the trade in the first place. So let's say you trade both from a higher time frame and lower time frame perspective. You could have something like, higher time frame structure was bearish, that was backed up by lower time frames, and then entered in this. You see where I'm going with that? Then it's just a case of tracking emotions. So, at the time of the trade or before the trade, was there any emotions that I actually felt? And just be honest with yourself. A lot of people just try and hide emotions and the negative stuff away from your performance, but you have to address it at the same time. So I think just be honest with yourself, whether that's positive or negative. Be honest, get it out, because that's how you improve. Emotions, self-talk, I would track. If you notice any positive or negative self-talk, just track it, just make a note of it, because that's how you improve. So if you noticed, on this winning trade, I noticed that I was reaffirming some positive self-talk, and that helped me manage my emotions better, or that helped me to be in a calm and collective state of mind. Like, these little things are just important to recognize. So from a journaling standpoint, I would just really double and triple down on your own performance and just tweak stuff. And what you'll notice is that over a course of a few weeks or a couple months, depending on how many trades you take per month, is that you're going to see patterns. You're going to see common patterns. For example, within my ASR, I did the same thing. Over the last, I'd say, week and a half, 2 weeks, there was 2 or 3 trades which were very, very similar, and I noticed a common pattern that I didn't really like, so I've just recognized that, adjusted it, taken that out, and I no longer have that. So I'm no longer going to be making the same mistakes again because I've recognized it. I've actually told myself what to do, and then I just move forward from that. So that's from a journaling aspect. The next thing in terms of psychology is that I would focus on building the self-image. This is really what I'm focused on right now, which is why I'm talking about it. So the self-image is really important because I noticed, I'm just going to relate this to myself because you may be able to relate. I had a great week about 5-6 weeks ago where I just had a fantastic week. It was incredible. And I have like a debrief call on the end of a Friday with a friend, a trading partner. We go through our trade performance, how we felt, what we learned from the week, etc., etc. It's just that mastermind principle of 2 or 3 minds coming together. You brainstorm, you get more ideas, you improve at a faster rate. It's essentially what it is. So I came to the end of that week and he asked me, how was your week? And I was like, okay, yeah, it was a really good week, but I could have done this, this, and this, and I'm not so sure about this, and I could have done this better. The funny thing is, that was probably my best week to date, but I was so focused on, but I could have done this better and this better and this better. My focus was in the wrong areas. Yes, you have to improve stuff, but I'm a big believer now, after reading Winning in Mind, which is such a crucial book, is that you have to positively reaffirm what you're doing right as well. If you're always focused on, the losses and what you did wrong, and okay, yeah, I did this well, but I did this wrong, and yes, I did this wrong. You always focus on the lack. You always focus on the negative. You always focus on the losses. So, I'm really trying to actively focus on the positive. Reward yourself for the positive stuff. If you have not so much a winning trade because it's a probability game, right? But if you have a winning performance, if you stuck to your plan, if you followed your blueprint, your program, if you followed everything you're supposed to do, and the trade was a winner, or whether the trade was a break even, whatever it may be, if you've had a good performance, recognize that and reward yourself for that. If you have a good trade, okay, what did you do right then? Is there anything you can replicate in the future that's going to help you? Or if you had a bad trade, okay, but what were the positives behind that? What did I actually do right in this instance? And then through that, you're not destroying your self-image. It's easy to just have a self-image and just degrade that over time by just knocking yourself down and down and down and down. And that's what I was doing, to be completely transparent. So now I'm just on the path of building that up. Okay, if you've had a bad trade, okay, yeah, but what did I do right in that point? There's got to be something small. And then if you have a winning trade, okay, perfect. What did I do right in this trade? How can I learn from that? And how can I replicate that? So, bit of a long-winded answer, but that's what I would personally focus on if I was you. So this is a pretty strong question, and that is, what is the number one thing to focus on when you're learning to trade? So I'm going to pinpoint one thing, but just note there isn't one thing. There's so many different things that you have to figure out, and everyone always thinks, okay, well, did you have a process to do this? Or, for example, when I was switching strategies, I say evolving, creating my own and just developing myself from there. People are always asking me, okay, was there a process for that? And to a certain degree, yes, there is, but you have to figure out things along the way. What you think is that number one thing that helps you break through in the moment could be completely different 2 months later. It can be completely different to that another 6 months down the line. So there isn't one thing that's going to help you be consistent, or there isn't one thing that's going to help you learn how to trade. It's just a combination of things. But what I will say is that you have to be open-minded. If you look at the newbie trader, when you come into the markets, and let's say, happens with a lot of newbie traders, you're probably gonna, let's say you take 4 trades, 3 wins, 1 loss, you get that early beginner look. I've seen it a lot of times, happened with me as well. And you automatically have an ego coming into the markets because you think, oh, this is easy. I didn't expect it to be this easy. I can do this for the long term. And then all of a sudden you're adding up these numbers in the back of your head or on a whiteboard, and you're thinking how you're going to be rich in 2 months' time. And it's just absolutely crazy. But it's just that beginner's look. But that person is so closed-minded at that point because they're not open to learning new stuff. They have to, it comes a point where they'll just take loss after loss after loss, and then that point they're open to learning new stuff, because then that point they're pushing the ego to one side and be like, okay, yeah, really, do I have this mastered? No. And maybe I need to learn more. Maybe I need to be open-minded and actually seek more information. That's the point you need to get to, because if you're so close-minded to the fact that, you know, I know what I'm doing, or you know, you're not teachable, you're never going to learn more information. You're going to stay exactly where you are. And I'm a big believer in the fact that if you're not moving forward, you're just moving backwards, because you're not staying still. It's the same with the plant. You know, if it's not growing, it's just dying, pretty much. So you have to, it's an important aspect of trading. Right, and last but not least, before my camera dies, so what is the best way to tap into the zone when you're backtesting? So the best way to do this, I've covered this in the past, but it's a really good question. I think you need an anchor. This is what I do. So you need a trigger. You need something that triggers you into a state of flow. You need something that when you go onto the charts, all you need to do is a simple automatic process, and it just gets you into the zone. It's not going to come overnight. It's like, let me think of an analogy. You know when you go to bed, right? So when you go to bed, what do? You're going to likely go into your room. So when you go to your room at a certain time, let's say it's 10 p.m, you switch off the light, you've already cleaned your teeth, you've done this and that, you've got ready for bed, you get into bed, your mind's already programmed, your mind already recognizes the fact that you're going to be going to sleep. So you're already tuned in that mindset, right? So it's the same with flow. It's the exact same thing. It comes with repetition. So when you get on the chart, start practicing to tap into the flow. You'll start recognizing, okay, this works for me, but this maybe doesn't work for me. So for me, for example, as soon as I get my headphones on, as soon as I look at the charts, I've done my top-down analysis, I've got my headphones on, I've got a good playlist on, preferably without like lyrics or strong lyrics, because you want to be focused, and just something that triggers that flow state. So as soon as I get my headphones on, put these on, flow state kicks in. And something that I do with price action is that I'll just observe. I keep my drawings on the charts, but I'll just back out, just do a top-down analysis, and just try and zone in. I don't know, there isn't a way to do it. It's just like, just naturally just try and zone into the charts. Just observe price. What is price doing? You know, which direction is structure bearish, is structure bullish? Like, just talk yourself through it subconsciously. And by doing that, I just find within a couple of minutes, I'm just tapped in. You can have days where you're just off flow, but you can have days where you're really on flow. And it's just about increasing that reliability of how often you're actually tapped in. It's the same thing with professional athletes. You look at the athletes, the Olympics is going on right now. These athletes have practiced for years and years and years for a split second to be tapped into the flow. Has it come overnight? No. It's probably taken them 10 plus years to tap into the flow with trigger. So all they need now is like a word in their mind, or a certain phrase, or you know, something they look at, or just they just need a trigger, just a single anchor, and I guarantee they'll be tapped in like that. So it's the same with backtesting, it's the same when you're trading. I'm not fully there yet, it's something I've been working on, but I'd say my flow state is pretty good when I tap in, because I've had years of snooker. Didn't really use it with fishing, but more so with snooker. Like, I needed to be focused on the table at some time, and to do that you need to be tapped in, you need to be zoned in, you need to block out the distractions around you. But in regards to trading, I would just have a clear trading space. You know, if you've got a clear trading space, you've got a clear mind, and just do simple things, just try things, and then once you find it, just stick with it. Right, Wednesday afternoon, it's the day after from the last clips, but I'm cooking lunch, and while I do that, I thought I'd answer some quick fire questions. Seems like the right time to do that. So let's crack on. I'm gonna go through probably 4 or 5. What do your weekends consist of? Are you as focused as you are during the week? It's a little bit more chill, I'm not gonna lie, but Saturdays is usually just prep, like do everything I can from the last week. So I kind of do my ASR in the moment now, so as soon as I've taken a trade all that day, I'll just mark it down so I can track my emotions, my self-talk, what I was seeing at the time of the trade. It just gives me more of a fresh and accurate picture. But the weekend I'll go back over that and just check things and just add up the totals and just summarize everything, to be honest, any lessons learned from the other week. And then what I'll do after that is just analysis, you know. I go over analysis, I'll run through it like twice over the course of the weekend, just make sure I know what I'm looking for come Monday, and it just helps me stay in tune with the markets. But what I did notice, a quick tip actually, is that I noticed I was a little bit rusty on Monday sometimes, and I figured out obviously it's just obviously because of the weekend. If you're not rusty on Friday but you're rusty on Monday, it's because of the weekend. So what I figured out is that, someone else told me this actually, is maybe just backtest for an hour on Sunday night, just to kind of warm up. It's kind of like in sports where you just warm up yourself before the actual game. It's the same thing with this. I'm just warming up my mental ability so that I'm sharp come Monday morning, and I've been doing that for probably 2 weeks now, and it's been decent. It's been decent. It's like a nice warm up to ease into the week. So another question I got was, how do I create a trading plan? Please do a YouTube video on it. I've already done one in the past. Maybe I could do an update on one for sure, but I'm just going to talk you through it a little bit now. So I split mine into 2 different sections. So I have the mental game comes first, so anything on the mental side of things that I need to do to just stay on track. Winning in mind came in helpful with that as well, just to add a couple of different things in with that. So mental game, and then I have a technical game. So technical game consists of entries, case studies, management, things like risk management, and just basic rules to keep in place so that you are sticking to your plan. Here's the thing with the plan, I don't like it to be so mechanical that you don't have any freedom outside of that, but it needs to be, in my opinion, mechanical enough so that you stick to the rules. So for me, it's mechanical enough to stick to the rules, but there's a lot of diversification of, honestly, it's kind of discretion, to be honest. I do think a lot of the best traders do have some form of discretion, to be completely honest. So with that, have the same thing within my plan. So I have a little bit of like freedom of choice and stuff like that, but the mechanical rules are still in place for me to stick to. So the last question, because my lunch is about to be ready, is how do you deal with consecutive losses? You need something to snap out of it, in my opinion. I think if you're taking loss after loss after loss, eventually, because we've all done it, you get in a cycle of just taking more and more and more, and then every time you get a loss, you almost reaffirm to yourself that you just take losses, and it's just a rut that you get into. You need something to essentially like snap out of it. So I think of it in the terms of like a recovery strategy. So just do something completely different. So if you are taking loss after loss after loss, maybe have a day away from the charts, or a couple of days away from the charts, or just an hour away from the charts, or wherever it may be, just to get out of the sink of, you know, the markets. Just do that. Whatever works for you. It could be, for me, it's like, okay, if I'm not performing well, just go hit the gym or go for a walk, and then by the time I come back, maybe just be in the moment a little bit and just think about what I've done, and then just prep myself for actually performing well again, versus actually just letting things happen, being like, oh, it'll be all right, things will take over, and then before you know it, you've taken 2 more losses. So I think you just need something to change the mentality, to change the state you're in, which is probably the best thing I'll say. Right, so hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That's a wrap on everything. We had some solid questions, and it's just a little bit different every now and then, just to throw in a different episode. This was not in the 6-figure journey. The next episode will be, but every now and then it's good to kind of mix things up, throw something completely different in there, and something I like doing. So stay tuned for the next episode. Should be really good. And without further ado, speak to you all soon.